Superman is written and directed by James Gunn and stars David Cornswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult. Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent. As the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way, he soon finds himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned. I've really enjoyed many of the Superman movies over the years. I've enjoyed the Zack Snyder take on the character for the most part, despite the universe itself it's set in being very hit and miss for me. I've loved the Christopher Reeves films, even though the later half of that era was kind of not good. And I've always had a soft spot for the Brandon Routh Superman. And I've enjoyed Superman and Lois, the TV show, many of the animated shows as well. In fact, this cartoon right here of Superman, of the old 30s cartoons, was what I grew up with first with Superman. Some of the earliest cartoons during the first era of Superman is literally my first exposure, so I hold a lot of nostalgia for this DVD. I watched these cartoons over and over again, and over the years I've still really loved the character, but I've noticed a lot of conflicting thoughts about this character and who he should be, what should he represent. And it seems like there was an era where people just wanted like a deeper version of Superman or an evil Superman, something that felt so like far off from what we know of Superman and that we knew him to be, the Boy Scout who's willing to fight for the right thing and is very lighthearted, very kind to many, if not everyone he meets. So I was like, are we losing our understanding of Superman? And then along came James Gunn's Superman, here to reset the DC universe, start over a new storyline with new versions of these characters. And what do I think of this? I love this movie. I think it is a fantastic Superman movie. While as a film, I noticed there's a lot of problems, especially in the first 20 or so minutes of the film. For the most part, I just found myself enthralled with this film all throughout most of its runtime. After those first 20 minutes were a bit rough, after that, the movie just never let up, and it understood the character of Superman so perfectly. David Cornswet, who is casted as the Man of Steel, was perfect for the role. He is kind, gentle, he is kind-hearted, pure-hearted at that, and is just doing his best to try and do the right thing. And he expresses that with so much emotion, so much kindness, and also a good amount of badassery as well. That makes him probably the most human version of Superman that we have gotten in film, at least since Christopher Reeve version. So I was extremely happy with David Cornswet's performance here, and Rachel Brosnahan. This is my Lois Lane for now on. I love Margaret Kidder, she was great. Amy Adams was disappointing in the role, but to me, Rachel Brosnahan was everything I wanted Lois Lane to be. Someone who is active and passionate about her reporting skills and is doing whatever she can to be able to use her skills for the betterment of the world, to try and bring the truth out, as she is always chasing after the truth, but that is always conflicting with her real life relationship with Clark Kent, and we see that inner turmoil within her, that bit of characterization that makes her very endearing to us as an audience, and we want to see her overcome these flaws and be able to properly express her love to Clark Kent, but to be able to use her skills not to further more conflict, but to be able to help others. And I think the film did a great job at portraying Lois Lane as someone who is good-hearted despite her spunky attitude. The Justice Gang who are introduced in this film are also really entertaining characters. I really like Guy Gardner. I think Nathan Fillion did a great job. Isabel Merced, who plays Hawkgirl, was really good. But it is Mr. Terrific who stole the show from me. I'm sorry that I don't remember the actor's name, but he did a fantastic job playing this character. He was probably the most entertaining, had the most characterization, had the most actual conflict and interactions with Clark Kent. You could feel a respect leveled between these two characters, that they are pretty much friends and are doing whatever they can to try and help save Metropolis and the world however they can possible. And Mr. Terrific is basically the brains of this entire group, who has a deep understanding of tech, what's going on behind the scenes, while Superman is looking at the overall big picture and looking at all the people who are endangered. So these two trying to be able to save the world together actually felt pretty right. They felt like these two characters are right for each other and are able to help out each other in a good amount of ways, despite what little interaction admittedly they have together. He has more interactions with Lois Lane here, and their relationship formed here in this film I think was a lot better explored than with Clark Kent. But Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, one of my favorite characters in this film and probably my favorite performance in this entire movie. He is so gleefully evil that he chews up the entire scenery. His bigotry and hatred against all metahumans, including Superman specifically, is peak Lex Luthor hatred. He portrays this character with so much visceral hate for Superman that you gotta respect the game. But he's also intimidating and scary in his own right, and does so many malicious and evil deeds that he genuinely feels irredeemable. If there's one thing that James Gunn is good at, is creating irredeemable villains that don't feel one note, that do have a good amount of character within them, that is deeply explored. And I love how his character is trying to prey off the politics of the US to be able to win over their favor and to be able to fund his technological advancements in metahumans, all just to be able to kill Superman. I think that was all well explored here. In the story itself, this is where my issues start to come in. I think the story of the film is good for the most part, but those first 20 minutes do get messy. There's a lot of stuff being set up here, like this war between these two factions that is definitely a thematic element that is based off a similar war in real life. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. A similar conflict between two nations that are against each other. The one is claiming to help the other, but it's all for political gain and to be able to control this group of people. Like, we all know what this is a reference to, and the movie is not shy of saying that out loud in a way. At least in a way that feels digestible to a general audience. But even then, the first 20 minutes setting all that up is a bit messy, including trying to set up Lois Lane and Clark Kent's characters, trying to set up the Justice Gang, this new universe that's established. We're just jump in the middle of a story that's already started and never lets up. And so you do have to catch up a little bit. I think watching the film a second time around made those problems a little bit less problematic for me. Like, I'm able to understand the story a bit better now that I watched it a couple times before this review. But still, those first 20 minutes were a bit messy. But once the rest of the film gets going, it is a punk rock action superhero film that understands the character of Superman, who is trying to maneuver through all these different conflicts between him and his personal relationships and what's going on around the world. And it's a hard juggle for him, and we feel that weight on his shoulders all throughout. And I love how, despite so much going on that's conflicting him as a character, he still stays true to who he is and is trying to do the best he can for the sake of the world to make it a better place. And he's one of those characters that is similar to Goku, who, despite all the conflict that he is being tested with, he still stays true to who he is and never changes. And this is the kind of character that basically is the same all throughout the film, but it works. And it never felt boring. Yes, he is still the same person at the end of the film as he was in the beginning, but because he goes through so much conflict that he is able to still stay true to his values and who he is, and just show the world that you just need to be kind to one another and show a bit of kindness back to another person and just do the right thing to help others who are in need. I think the film's message at that, being able to stay true to who you are and to not have the world tell you that what the right thing is wrong, I think it explored that all beautifully well with the character Superman. And it made me feel so many emotions, especially by the end of the film, that legitimately made me welled up. The music of the film also has a lot of elements of John Williams themes, but also adds a new spin to those themes that make them feel very unique to this version of Superman. But even the rest of the soundtrack itself feels very hopeful, heroic, big, grand, bombastic, that it genuinely fits who Superman is as a character. A lot of the jokes hit, the action is incredible, just camera movements all around, interesting visual effects shots that make this world feel so comic booky. Like, the action and the visuals here are out of this world. This is one of the most comic booky superhero films I have seen in a long time. All in all, this is all to say, Superman by James Gunn is a blast. Probably my least favorite of James Gunn's superhero films. Like, I prefer the Suicide Squad and the Guardians trilogy over Superman. But if this is his worst superhero film, he understands superheroes in general and what makes them so engaging to us as comic book fans or as movie fanatics. Superman 2025 is everything I could hope it could be and more. And so for that, I'm gonna give Superman a A-. I can't give it a higher grade due to the first 20 minutes being a bit messy, and that does kind of seed its way throughout a little bit of the rest of the film. But for the most part, this is a total blast of a Superman movie, and I would highly recommend anyone who is a fan of this character to go out and watch it. You're going to have a ton of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.